Good morning, students. Regretfully, I will not be here today, as you have come to realize, but I wanted to make sure that you stayed on track. So you should have your handouts for 11.1, which is about angle measures and polygons. So let's move to the middle of the page and let's complete this table. So if you have a quadrilateral, that has how many sides? 4 sides. And if you look at the example above, the quadrilateral, you can make it into how many triangles? Well, this is one triangle, here's the second triangle, so a total of 2 triangles. What if you have, well, what's the degree measurement? So the sum of the angles in a triangle altogether equals 180 degrees. If there are 2 triangles, then there's 180 degrees and 180 degrees in the second, and we get a total of 2 times 180, or 360. What if you have a pentagon? So a pentagon is the shape above. Penta means that it has 5 sides. How many triangles can we create? We can create 3 triangles. So to figure out the total sum of the interior angles, because we're talking about the interior angles, we just take 3 and multiply it times 180. And that gives us 540 degrees. What if we have a hexagon? Hexagon has a total of how many sides? 6. And how many triangles can we make? We can make 1, 2, 3, 4. So to find the sum of the measure of the interior angles, we're going to say 4 times 180, and that gives us 720 degrees. So this pattern will continue, and let's say if we have n polygon, meaning some polygon with n number of sides. N could be 7, it could be 8, it could be 20. So if there are n sides, the question is, how do we get this middle term? It's going to be an expression as opposed to a number. Well, how do we go from 4 to 2? Some people will say divide by 2, some will say subtract 2. Look at the divide by 2 possibility. If you divide 5 by 2, do you get 3? No. So it's not going to be divide by 2, it'll be subtract by 2. And to find the sum of the interior angles of any polygon, you can use this expression. N minus 2 times 180 degrees, or 180 degrees. All right, so let's look at some theorems and then let's practice some problems. So the theorem 11.1, it just says what I generalized, which is if you want to find the sum of the measures of interior angles of a convex polygon, you can use the expression n minus 2 times 180. And just remember or remind you, convex is a shape where there are no dents, if you will, inside the shape. So for example, this is concave because there's a dent. So if there are no dents inside the polygon, it's going to be convex. And the corollary to theorem 11.1, it tells us how to find the measurement of each interior angle. So you take the sum of the interior angles and then you divide it by n. So we're going to use both of these expressions. So let's go ahead and turn the page and get started. So example 1, find the value of x in the diagram shown. So we have to figure out first what's the sum of the interior angles. So how many sides do we have? What is my n? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 sides. So n is 6. So the sum of interior angles equals what? The expression from the previous page is n minus 2 times 180. Well, what is n? 6. So we're going to say 6 minus 2 times 180. And 6 minus 2 gives us 4. So what's 4 times 180? Stephen. Excellent. 720. All right. So now, how do we use this to get the answer? Well, 720 represents the sum of all the interior angles. And how many interior angles do we have? Well, the number of interior angles corresponds or is exactly the same as the number of sides. So we have 6 sides. That means we have 6 interior angles. So now I want to do some algebra. I want to create an equation, and I'm going to say I want to add up all these numbers. So 88. So take your calculators out. 88 plus 142 plus what, Joe? 136. Good. Plus 136 plus 105. And Jared, what's the last number or term we're going to add? X. All right, so the long way is to write it out like this. 88 plus 136 plus 136 plus 142 plus 105. Need some space. All right, so what number am I missing? Missing my X. All right, so add those up on the right side, we're going to have, correction, on the left side we'll have that. On the right side, we're going to have what number? 720. So once you add all those numbers up, we're going to get 607 plus X equals 720. Elias, how do you solve for X? And if Elias isn't here today, Victoria, how do you solve for X? All right, subtract. So once we subtract 607 from 720, class, we get what as our final answer? 113. And we are done. So for example 1, what did we just find? We found the measure of an interior angle of this polygon, and we're done. Okay, let's look at the next problem. So why don't you go ahead and take about a minute or two, maybe 2 minutes to complete these problems. And at this point, the substitute teacher can stop the video, or Malik and Caleb, one of you can come to the front and stop the video. All right, so you should have had some time to work on this problem. The thing you want to do is you want to figure out what n is first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. N is 5. So what is the sum of the interior angles? Well, it's going to be n minus 2 times 180. N is 5, so I'm going to say 5 minus 2 times 180. And then that gives me 3 times 180. So 3 times 180, and I get 540 degrees. So when I add up all 5 angles inside this triangle, their sum should be equal to 540 degrees. All right, so we have 80 plus 130 plus 113 plus what, Micah? Okay, she probably said 90 or X. Either one would be correct. And then I'm going to add X. Okay, so that's equal to what? 540 40. So on the left-hand side, once you add all those numbers up, you'll get 413 plus x equals what, class? Good, 540. 540. Okay, so now subtract what from both sides, Anastasia? So subtract 413, and we get x equals 127 degrees. And we're done. Okay, the next problem, you handle it in the exact same way. Let's count the number of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So n is equal to 7. So let's figure out the sum of the interior angles. So sum of INT's abbreviation of interior angles is equal to n minus 2 times 180. So what is n? It's 7. So 7 minus 2 times 180. So that gives me 5 times 180, or 900 degrees. Okay, so if the sum of the interior angles is 900 degrees, then I want to take all 7 of these interior angles, I want to add them up and set them equal to 900. So for space sake, let me go ahead and tell you that I've added the numbers up, and the answer I came up with is not stated on my paper. So we need to add the numbers up. Okay, so use your calculators. So 102, 146, 120, 124, 170, 158. All right, so I got 820. So then I get this equation. 820 plus x equals 900. Subtract 820 from both sides, and we get that x is equal to 80 degrees, and we're done. Okay, let's do the next problem. So the next problem is a special shape. We have a polygon that's called a regular polygon. And it's regular because the sides are congruent and the interior angles are congruent. So one angle is given to be x, but because the sides or the angles are congruent, I know that each of these represents x degrees, or is x degrees. Okay, so let's approach this problem in the same way. What's the number of sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So n is equal to 7. So what's the sum of the interior angles? Well, it's going to be n minus 2 times 180. N is 7, so 7 minus 2 times 180. That equals 5 times 180, and that gives me a total of 900 degrees. So the sum of all those angles equals 900 degrees. Okay, so now I can create my equation. So I have 7 angles, and each of the angles has a degree measurement of what, class? Correct, x. So I can say x plus x plus x plus x. Is there a shorter way to do this? Correct. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm confident someone said that we could just say 7x. So we have 7x equals 900 degrees. Divide both sides by 7, and we get our answer. So x is equal to what? So I get 128. We round it to the nearest whole number. Let's round it to the nearest hundredth. 128.57 degrees. And I'm done. All right, let's turn the page. So example 2. Example 2 is different. Now you're told to find the number of sides of a polygon. And we're told that the measure of each interior angle of a polygon or of a regular polygon is given to be 140 degrees. How many sides does the polygon have? So let me remind you that the corollary from the first page said this, that each interior angle is equal to n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. Okay, so do we know the measurement of the interior angles for this polygon? Yes, it's 140 degrees. So I'm going to say 140 degrees equals n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. So that's the geometry, setting that equation up in this fashion. So now we got to go back to our algebra skills. How do I solve this equation for n? So some of you will struggle with this, but you're going to do it in this, approach it this way for each equation that you have. You're going to always multiply by the denominator, which in this case is going to be n. So on the left side, I get 140n. On the right side, a lot of teachers and students will say that the n's cancel out. You're just factoring out a 1. But what's left is n minus 2 times 180 degrees. Okay, so we have 140n equals, I'm going to apply the distributive property. So I'm going to have 180n minus 360. Now I want to subtract 180n from both sides. And my space is limited, so I'm going to continue up here. So on the left-hand side, I'll have what, class? Negative 40n. On the right-hand side, I'll have negative 360. Okay, so the last step is to divide both sides by negative 40. And we get n equals what? N equals 9. And we're done with example 2. Okay, this next example, you are given the measure of each interior angle of a regular n-gon. Find the value of n. So this is asking us to find the number of sides. This is exactly like the previous problem. So each angle, or each interior angle, equals the sum of all the angles, which is found by this expression, divided by n. So what's the measurement of each interior angle for this problem? It's going to be 144. Okay, so now we have to solve for n. So just like I did above, I'm going to multiply both sides by n. I get 144n equals, and I want to apply the distributive property at the same time. So I want to write 180n. Let's actually do it in more steps. So I'm just going to have the numerator, n minus 2 times 180. So then I have to apply the distributive property. So let me continue over here to the right. I have 144n equals 180n minus 360. Subtract 180n from both sides. So that gives me negative 36n equals negative 360. And then what's the next step? Trying to find n, so we're going to divide both sides by what? Negative 36. All right, so n equals 10, and we are done. There are 10 sides to this regular n-gon, or regular decagon. Okay, let's turn the page. So the diagrams below show that the sum of the measures of the exterior angles, notice we're making a shift. Before we're looking at the interior angles, that is the angles inside the shape, the polygon. Now we're looking at the angles on the outside. So the measures of the exterior angles of any convex polygon is 360 degrees. So this angle plus this angle plus this angle plus this angle and plus that angle. If I add all those up together, I end up getting a 360 degree circle, and that's illustrated over here. So I get a 360 degree measurement. Okay, so from this we can create or use this theorem, theorem 11.2, polygon exterior angles theorem. And it basically says that the sum of the exterior angles of a polygon, a convex polygon, will be 360 degrees. So how do you find the measurement of each? Well, if it's a regular polygon, meaning the sides are congruent, we can use this expression, 360 divided by n. Only if it's a regular n-gon. So example 3. We have to find the value of x. So is this a regular polygon? So you should have said no. It's not regular because the angles aren't congruent, nor are the sides congruent. However, the sum of the angles, exterior angles, is 360. So I can say 2x plus 2x plus x plus 3x plus 4x, and set that equal to 360 degrees. Okay, class, what's 2x plus 2x plus 1x plus 3x plus 4x? 12x. All right, so 12x is equal to 360 degrees. And divide both sides by 12 to get our answer. So divide by 12, so we get x equals what? 30. All right, let's look at B. Now, is B a regular polygon? It is, because the sides and the angles are congruent. So I can make my exterior angles by extending the lines. That's going to be x degrees. Extend the line, that's x degrees. Extend the line, that's x. That's x. That's x. And that's x. So I have 6 sides. Correction, I have 7 sides. So therefore I have 7 exterior angles. So I have to find the value of x. So because this is a regular polygon, I can actually just say 360 divided by, how many x's do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can take 360 and divide it by the total sum of exterior angles, which is 7, and that gives me the value of x. So if I wrote it differently, I could say it like this. So measure of exterior angle equals 360 divided by n, where n is the number of sides, and this is only if the polygon is regular, meaning the sides and the angles are congruent. All right, so 360 divided by 7, and we get our answer. It's probably going to be a decimal. So we get x equals 51.43 degrees. That's the measurement of the exterior angles. All right, let's look at the last page. So you are given the measure of each exterior angle of a regular n-gon. Again, they tell you that it's regular. So we're going to say 360 divided by n equals measure of one. This Let's use each measure of each exterior angle. So what's the measurement of each exterior angle for this problem? They give it to be 20. So then here's my equation. 360 over n equals 20. I can multiply both sides by n. And then let me continue over to the right. I'll have 360 equals 20n, because this n and that n will cancel out, as most people like to say. So then now I want to divide by 20. So n is going to equal what? 18. So how many sides does this regular polygon have? It has 18 sides. Okay, next problem. You're going to set it up the same way. So 360 divided by n equals the measure of one of the angles, or each angle, which is each exterior angle, which is given to be 10 degrees. Multiply both sides by 10. So we get 360 on the left side, 10n on the right side. Divide by 10, and we get that n is equal to 36. Okay, let's finish off. This is the last problem for the notes. Okay, so example 4, finding angle measures of a polygon. A home plate marker for a softball field is a pentagon. 3 of the interior angles of the pentagon are right angles. The remaining 2 interior angles are congruent. What is the measure of each angle? So this example 4 is similar to example 1. So we have to figure out what is the measurement of all of the interior angles. So what is n? Well, n should be 5 because I have 5 sides. So then let's figure out the sum of the interior angles. So it's going to be n minus 2 times 180. All right, so what is n? It's 5. So 5 minus 2 times 180. That gives me 3 times 180. And that gives me 540 degrees. So I know that this is 90 degrees, and this is 90 degrees, and this is 90 degrees. These 2 angles, I'm told that they're congruent. So I can create an equation, and my equation is going to be 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus x plus x. But since my space is short, can I just say 2x? Okay, and that's going to be equal to 540 degrees. All right, so then we get 270 plus 2x equals 540. Subtract 270 from both sides. Class, we get 2x equals what? 270. Okay, lastly, divide by 2, so we get x equals 135 degrees. So the angle measurement for each of the 2 remaining angles at points E and C is 135 degrees, and we are done. Okay, this video is on my website, so you can view it again tonight. Since you have POC tomorrow, you can also view it during POC time. But what you're going to get now is you're going to get a handout, and it's going to be problems that are just like this. And the expectation is that you'll use your notes and that you'll work together to complete the handout so that you can turn it in at the end of class. In addition, there will be some homework problems that are from the textbook. So the homework problems from the textbook will be written on the board. So good luck as you complete your work, and I will see you on Monday.